Going this long.
Welcome, everyone, to the 6 round post-fight show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-host, Eddie Mercado. We are here for UFC Fight Night, Atlantic City. UFC Fight Night, Edson Barboza versus Kevin Lee. Just wrapped up. Kevin Lee largely beating the piss out of Edson Barboza for 4.5 rounds before the doctors came in to call it off due to a cut over Barboza's eye. Really, the fight could have been stopped at just about any point during, 4 or 5 of these rounds.
Yeah,
And
that shit was crazy.
yeah, but to Barboza's credit, man, let that dude, it's so clear that all of his striking is just totally ingrained and embedded in his mind. Doesn't have to think about any of it. I mean, after getting 10-8'd for 2 straight rounds, he hits Lee with that wheel kick, puts him on skates. It's just like, man, it was a cool fight, especially late as Lee started to slow down a little. Barboza got a lot of work done in flashes to make it look like he could come back, but I still had Lee winning every single round.
He didn't win the third round. That's for damn sure.
I thought by the end of the third round, who was closer to being finished?
Kevin Lee was closer to being finished than Barboza was that round.
Nah,
he was way more hurt.
Lee was hurt in a moment, but Barboza, by the end of the round, he was on the fence, wobbling and looking terrible. He was.
Lee definitely. I mean, the way Lee pursued that takedown after doing the stanky leg. Oh man, it was like if he did not get that takedown, it was over. He was dead to rights. So all the credit in the world to Lee for being able to stay with the takedown and just let his, it just how Barboza's striking is ingrained in him. Lee's wrestling is equally as ingrained in him and really saved him. And if it wasn't for that,
either way, strong main event performance for Kevin Lee. Everything he absolutely needed to make his campaign for being a title contender. Unfortunately for him, the top of that division is super crowded with people looking for a shot at the belt. There's already reports out there that Khabib has said that if Conor McGregor won't fight him, he'll fight Dustin Poirier.
And, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will.
And, obviously Alvarez is going to feel like he's got his own claim to the belt, especially as a former champ who feels like he beat Dustin Poirier. And now Kevin Lee's out there too. He lost to Tony Ferguson, but this is a bounce back win to get him in contention. And Ferguson blew out his knee, so hopefully he'll be back soon, but we really have no idea.
Yeah, that fucking division, man. It's sad too because it's my favorite division. And it's just, why the fuck is Conor McGregor in the rankings? When was his last MMA fight?
2 years ago.
Yeah, it's turning into light heavyweight.
I know. He's like an infinitely talented light heavyweight.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Light heavyweight's like this single terrible thing on top of a really big shit sandwich with the best frosting on the top and then a turd on top of that.
A polished turd. It's a very polished turd.
And lightweight is just wonderful all the way down and then the little turd on top.
A little nug.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Lee looked great, man. Rounds 1, round 2, like you said, 10-8'd. I mean, completely dominated. Takedowns within the first minute and grounding pound that probably could have stopped the fight. Obviously not in Mario Yamasaki's eyes, but the fight could have been over in round 1. It could have been over in round 2. And somehow or another, Barboza got himself back into it in round 3. But even after that, though, he has this thing, and you saw it when he fought Khabib, that when he's feeling overwhelmed, he does this panic backpedal that it leaves him open. And Lee started letting off with his hands. He started connecting there in the 5th round. He's outboxing Edson Barboza. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. You must be really fucking rocked if Kevin Lee's out here piecing you up on the feet like that.
Yeah, well, partially too. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Lee put in a lot of specific work for Barboza for this fight, and has still not a great combination puncher after 2 strikes, but he's gotten a lot better in those two strikes. Like this fight, he was able to put continuous pressure on. In the past, we've seen him just like, hop in, throw one punch, and then get back out, or hop in, throw one kick, get back out. Here, he was able to actually like sit down, throw two strikes, lean back a little, come back with a head kick, come back with another punch, and just keep the pressure marching forward on Barboza like he needed to. And the other thing that really impressed me is that Barboza basically only circles to his left. You watch him in any footage, and it's just him circling out to the left. And Lee, he had like some crushing body kicks. One that looked like it could have broke a rib the moment Barboza circled that way, and forced Barboza to circle to his right. And whenever Barboza went right, Lee just shot him in on him immediately because he knew he was off balance and got him down.
Yeah. If you just take away round 3, that was a phenomenal fight for Kevin Lee.
Yeah.
And even he had his moments in round 3 also. So.
Yeah. I mean, he rallied back to win, to at least win the last couple minutes of that round.
Barboza made it fun, though. I think if Barboza didn't have that round, that moment in round 3, it wouldn't have been as cool of a win for Kevin Lee. But seeing him come back from the adversity and the way he did, his stock has just gone through the roof from this fight, I think.
So that division really is going to stay all jammed up if Dustin Poirier, if Khabib wants to fight Dustin Poirier, can get that fight. I would love to see Kevin Lee fight Eddie Alvarez.
Fuck yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I guarantee Lee will get rocked at some point. But I don't know though, because Alvarez isn't really gonna just give up the takedown that easily. That's a real litmus test there.
Yeah.
Like someone who's actually held the strap.
Yep.
That might be like the stepping stone for Lee to actually get to the title.
Like I kind of felt like Alvarez probably had the better shot than Poirier at getting a next title shot. But, if Khabib is pushing for Poirier hard enough, the UFC might just be like, yeah, let's make that fight. And then you got to do something with Kevin Lee, and I'd love to see that fight.
I think that's a little bit of cherry picking going on by Khabib, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it might be, but we got all I want is for the fucking title fights to happen. I don't care who does it. I don't care if it's Alvarez. I don't care if it's Poirier. I don't care if it's Ferguson. I don't care if it's McGregor. I don't care if it's fucking, James Vick, for Christ's sake. Fucking fight somebody with the belt on the line more than once in a year. More than one lightweight title fight in a year.
Yeah, without interims.
Yep, no interim belts.
I'm with
Anyway, co-main event, Frankie Edgar beat Cub Swanson. And, credit to Cub, he did something I didn't think he could or would do, which is that he stopped the takedowns. He obviously put a lot of work in just shutting down Frankie Edgar's wrestling game. And to do that, he tracked all of his focus into it and had no other offense to win the actual fight with.
Yeah, and it's funny, too, because Edgar really didn't go for that many takedowns. If anything, he was using them to set up his right hand.
Yep.
He would like fake the takedown or realize like it's not worth the effort and then just pop off with the right hand. And Edgar looked fucking sharp out there, which surprised me coming off that brutal loss. And it was like 40 some odd days ago.
Yeah.
He looked fucking great out there. Like his footwork, his volume, his pressure, it was all there. Well, for like 2.5 rounds, Swanson did kind of rally there in the third and actually started coming forward and started landing a bit, busted up Edgar, but it wasn't enough. Edgar
I mean, that was the kind of thing that I think Swanson had been training not to do all camp, just so that Edgar wouldn't be able to take him down. And by the time he finally realized, like, wait, I need to actually do this if I want to do anything to win any part of the fight, way too late.
Yeah, because like their first fight, like Cub was screwed. Like,
yeah,
he couldn't get up.
No,
and so like. I understand that mindset. Like I must stop the takedown, but Edgar came to bang, and it just shows how elite Frankie Edgar is.
Yep, good fight for him. Obviously, it's going to keep him right in the title conversation. If Holloway got booked for Brian Ortega, if Holloway wins that bout, then Edgar's still going to be one of the top contenders because he's the dude that Holloway hasn't fought.
Man, Poor Frankie though.
Yeah.
I still can't help but feel bad, and I feel like some other bullshit's gonna happen to where he's not gonna get the title shot, and it's.
Well, I'm trying to think who else would it be is like up there in contention. Hinata Moicano's making a run, but it's not kind of.
Jeremy Stevens is on a little run right now.
Yeah, Jeremy Stevens, but that's also like a fight that Max Holloway already walked away with once before.
And Frankie beat him too, didn't he?
Yeah, and Frankie beat Stevens, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And otherwise you got guys or like Darren Elkins and Hinata Moicano, I guess. If you want,
I'm okay with Elkins getting a title
just for
shot.
like the fairy tale story idea.
You gotta vote for Rocky on that one.
Otherwise, I mean, Zabit's like the hot hand, but he's really still pretty damned early in his UFC career. It seems like a fight that would be a cool fight a year from now when he's had a couple more big fights and
at least
got to know him. But yeah, I mean, Edgar may just still be the logical next fight if Holloway beats Ortega. So will be interesting.
He should definitely wait for that. I don't think he should take
all the time off. I'd still love to see him fight Dominic Cruz at like a catch weight of 140 or something. But
now that's fun. If Cruz can get healthy, that's some shit I want to see. And it's like Frankie's starting to get to that point. Obviously he's still elite as it gets.
Yeah.
But after seeing him lose to Ortega the way he did, it's like maybe I only want to see Edgar fight other veterans now. Like what's Jose Aldo doing? Let them go at it again for the third time. Why not?
Yeah. All right. Before that, Justin Willis beat Chase Sherman heavyweight contest, and this went just like I thought it would for the first round. And credit to Chase Sherman, he fucking survived.
Man, Sherman, he's fucking tough, man. He's tough, and his gas tank was on point.
Oh yeah,
toughness, cardio for days, just hittable for days also. And
yeah. Even in the second round, when Willis was clearly gassed and sucking wind, he was still cracking Sherman every single time he let his hands go. Sherman's head was just popping back and popping back. And it's just like, you cannot be this hittable. Even, people are like, oh, Sherman's got a bad chin. His chin isn't bad. His chin is fucking fine. It's that he's about as bad a defensive fighter as you can be.
Yeah. His head only moves when you hit it.
Yeah.
It's like that's it. But he's built for it though. Like he's built for that.
The fact that he's got the cardio, that he's got the toughness, that'll help him a lot. But he still doesn't have the power, and he's still going to get hit a lot. So there might be a lot of fights in Chase Sherman's future where he loses badly for 2 rounds, and then it's like there in the third doing work, but just not enough to win.
But there's also probably a lot of fights where he's getting knocked out in the first round.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
If he keeps moving back up the rankings, the idea of Shamil Abdurakhimov being your hard ceiling is not a good thing.
Oh, man. That was such like a video game knockout, too.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Solid win for Willis, though. He got tired, but frankly, most heavyweights aren't made to fight nearly as hard as he did after he almost knocked Sherman out. So not taking it as a huge knock on his cardio. He just has to get a little more in that Derek Lewis mindset of like, just be big, and like if you hurt somebody, let them be. Don't get too excited. Go back and like know that you just got to pace yourself for every minute of the fight, and the knockouts will come. Yeah,
Willis just looks like he has bad cardio though.
Yeah, he does.
Just looking at him.
You can't really like get tired if you're not in amazing shape, because everybody's just gonna be like, oh, of course the fat dude got tired. Yeah. Big surprise there.
But I like that he did capitalize on a head kick and got the takedown and was like, I'm just gonna hang out here. And the ref's not gonna stand it up. Okay.
No, he fought smart to his cardio throughout the rest of the fight. It's just he needed to fight smart to his cardio in that moment where he almost finished it. It's like, no, you the way your cardio is, the way heavyweight is, you got to back off a second. Like
you gotta Mark Hunt it.
Yep.
Let him stand up or get the walk off knockout. One of the two.
Yep. For that, David Branch beat Thiago Santos, and
woo! I didn't see that coming.
Pretty knockout from David Branch. I didn't think he'd get it standing like that.
Pretty knockout. Has he ever scored a pretty knockout like this before in his life?
He had. Let's see. Well, he had that. No. He's got TKOs out there before. This is his first straight knockout.
It's his first straight knockout and his biggest name win to date.
Yeah.
So I'm pleasantly surprised. I thought that, well, for one, I thought Santos was going to win. Number two, I thought if Branch was going to win, it was going to be by submission.
Oh, yeah. I thought it would be on points, frankly, but
maybe on points. But Branch coming out and like just eating the leg kicks and staying calm, cool, and collected, and just slightly moving forward, forcing Santos to feel uncomfortable, backing him up to the cage, and then uncorking an overhand right. I've never seen Branch throw an overhand right. Like,
yeah. Well, the nice thing, the smart thing for him is that he went for like a takedown from too far out. Santos sprawled it out. He went for another one, and that's when he was like ducking down, and he came up over the top with that right hand. And Santos did what he always does to pressure, which is he put his chin up, he leaned back, and he's like, okay, I'm just going to throw both my hands right now, and I'm going to try to scare you as much as possible because I hate pressure.
And that just goes to show that, relying on your athleticism for defense it's a really dangerous endeavor, especially towards the top of the division. And that's never going to change.
Nah. Yeah, Santos, I mean, he's definitely improved. He's a more technical fighter than he used to be, but he still just kind of goes to pieces whenever he's moving forward or backwards, and you can't really be that combustible. You can't be the dude who when you're moving ahead and throwing your hands, you're like reaching way out with both hands and your chin out and just like tripling over yourself. He nearly like fell on his face.
You're punching with both arms at the same time.
Yeah, he nearly fell on his face trying to knock Anthony Smith out, like when he had him early in that fight. And then when he goes backwards, it's just pure like panic. Get away from me! Get away from me! And he's only really he looked brilliant in this fight when it was just at solid kicking range in the middle distance, and he was kicking
when he wasn't
hell
being
out of
pressured.
David Branch.
It was as soon as he was being pressured, he was like, "Oh, what? I'm being pressured." And that snapped a 4-fight winning streak for Santos and a 4-fight knockout streak.
Yep.
Which is crazy, but it's it's a bit of a ceiling.
Yep.
It's like,
well, it's the weird ceiling of I would still pick him to beat like Vitor Belfort, and Lyoto Machida is really that shot. Maybe Lyoto Machida. And he could still win a bunch of fights in the top 10 at a very stagnant middleweight division, but he's also just going to get he's the guy dude who'll still lose to Eric Spicely sometimes, just because his defense is so wide open.
Man, I think he's going to be the new Derek Brunson. I think they might pass the baton there. They're so similar in ways.
Well, he's kind of too old to be the new Derek Brunson. He's just the Derek Brunson. The Derek Brunson of the bottom of the top 15. Yeah, there you go. For that, Aljamain Sterling beat Brett Johns. Honestly, just kind of a showing a class from Aljamain Sterling and levels. Johns, he's running into the problems that I was worried he would run into, which is that a pretty good Cage Warriors wrestling game doesn't translate to a upper level UFC wrestling game, and that's making him purely a boxer who has to get inside to box. He doesn't have a range striking game, doesn't really have a kicking game. He just needs to be in the pocket in your face throwing combos. And even somebody like Aljamain Sterling, who is bad against guys who rush him with combinations and got hit several times in this fight, was able to just kick him apart in the middle distances and then wrestle him the whole rest of the time.
Yeah, Johns just didn't have much to offer up on the feet. He was, he was competitive in the grappling department, at least the first 2 rounds, but then just got completely owned there in the third. So first loss of his career, not that big of a deal.
No.
I think it's a good learning experience. And I think Aljo, he kind of needed this bouncing back from such a devastating loss to like build up his confidence. And I think he fought really smart. I mean, he was landing his kicks early. He actually flurried and let his hands go and like seemed like he believed in himself that, hey, I can actually hurt people with my hands and do my thing. And then he got the grappling going there in the third. So I thought it was a really strong showing for Aljamain. Where he goes from here, though, I don't know. I think he needs to fight John Dodson.
Yeah, that'd be a reasonably solid fight.
Someone you're not just going to come out and wrestle. Someone that's going to force you to stand with him. Someone who's like quirky and like.
I'd also be willing to see him against somebody like Pedro Munoz. Honestly, like Munoz is a really strong grappler and a very willing, come forward kickboxer who at least works a kicking game as well as a punching game.
If there was ever a fight to go the distance, it's that one.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to see, like, it's a good matchup for sure, but I don't want to see that. Like,
the John Dodson matchup, like the way John Dodson's been fighting lately, it's not that much better. But
it's not. But Dodson's fun to me. I like watching Dodson fun. It's fun for me watching Dodson. It's fun size.
You are on a bit of an island. Even as somebody who doesn't mind John Dodson all that much, I can tell you that you're on a bit of an island with I like watching Dodson fight.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I like being on islands alone.
But yeah, it's still, I mean, the way Sterling's striking game works, it does still feel like the things that led to him getting knocked out by Marlon Moraes are still right there.
Oh yeah. The holes, they're ample and everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, John caught him leaning in with a knee just the same. It just landed right in the pec instead of right in his chin. And and he also was able to put long combinations on Sterling and catch him several times standing just by rushing him in the pocket and keeping after him. And Brett Johns is not nearly the athlete Marlon Moraes is. It's not nearly the dynamic ability to pull the trigger and cover distance quickly. So,
little funny moment. So during Aljamain's post-fight interview, a fight breaks out in the crowd, and like he comments on it. He's like, "Oh, a fight broke out," and he was like, "I think he's got a better chance of finishing than I did." And I was like, "Damn, you just burned yourself! Like, props for burning yourself."
Credit to Aljo. I think he's an awesome. Like, he seems like a really fun dude. He seems like he's got a great sense of humor and feeling about himself and all that. I don't, it's just going to be a struggle moving up that division with his skill set without like the ability to really lean on your striking and trust it against the very elite.
He's just not a killer. He's just really not a killer. And the guys at the top of that division they're killers. They're like all of them.
Well, except
Jimmy
Dominic
Rivera.
Cruz, but he's fun.
Jimmy Rivera and Dominic Cruz are the two non-killers. But
Rivera knocked out a shitload of people after his striking got put together. He hasn't been doing it as much lately, but
who's that?
What?
You said Rivera?
Yeah, Rivera's got some knockouts.
Not in the UFC.
Yeah, he does.
Not that many. He's got a lot of decisions.
He had a ton of decisions coming up, but whatever.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. He had 3 straight, and then he's got decisions ever since.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of venomous people at the top of that division, and Aljamain just isn't, and that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Anyway, before that, Dan Hooker took on Jim Miller.
That was hard to watch. I love Jim Miller.
I wasn't sure it would go exactly that way because Jim Miller hasn't, like, this is his first knockout loss since Donald Cerrone, which was a while ago.
Yeah.
But the way Miller fights was going to be set up perfectly for a knee or a high kick from Hooker. and it happens. So.
Just the knee. Hooker has these semi-shilt knees that just they're so sneaky. The way they just go up so fast, and before you even know it, and it's like you're like, oh, I'm just gonna dip my head off the center line just a little bit to throw this punch, and like the knee's right fucking there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you do about that? It's tough to deal with. And Miller, like, he tried. He had a brief moment there, but Hooker was just on point. And I think he's getting that much better, and Miller's getting that much worse.
Well, he's transforming himself as, he's a pretty defensively responsible fighter. He's slowly transforming himself into a high-level opportunist, the sort of, Ricardo Lamas, John Moraga style of dude who you like watching, you're like, you might lose, or even Brian Ortega style, where it's like you might be losing every moment of every round in every fight up until you finish the person, and you're going to do that 9 times out of 10.
That was fucking brutal, man. That was a real brutal knee. Remind me of what Fabricio Verdum did to Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
That was hard to watch also.
Hopefully Miller takes the lesson off that knee a little better than Joe Lozon took off of his last knockout, or the knockout loss before his last one.
Well, yeah, this is 4 straight losses for Miller.
Yeah. Heroes are getting old, man.
I know. But I did like that Hooker in his post-fight interview called out Paul Felder, who was interviewing him. I thought that was kind of cool. But I'd rather see him fight James Vick. Battle of the length.
Shit, fair enough. And also battle of the guys who really like to fight weird on their back foot and look for random kill shots that you don't see coming.
Yes, they definitely fight weird on the back foot.
All right. Before that, Ryan Lafleur beat Alex Garcia and just out-wrestled him, and we don't really need to say anything about that fight. It sucked.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first round was kind of fun when they were going back and forth, but then the stalemates just ruined it.
Turns out Garcia still just can't control. He depends too much on a wrestling game he doesn't have against actual wrestlers.
In Lafleur, honestly, he's not much to write home about. He's like, for having such as good of a record as he does, he's really just so lackluster and
anyway,
not fun to watch.
Ricky Simon before that beat Merab Dvalishvili. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how bullshit do you think that decision was? Or that referee's decision was?
I mean, by the rule, he was out. And if you're out, I feel like you lose.
Was he out by the rule?
I mean, if you're laying there unconscious, you're out.
We don't know that he was unconscious. He could have just as easily, the ref is calling it off and like pulling the guy off, and he's like, oh yes, I'm just gonna lay here for a minute, and like I made it through a minute straight of being choked to death. And then he gets up. Like I fucking hate that. Like,
it's tough. It's really tough. It's like, did he just get a head rush from like sitting up and like sitting up too fast and just get the head rush?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? I don't know. Let him run it back. Fuck it.
Yeah. They need to replay that fight, because that, for the ref to just kind of be like, no, this guy won it after he didn't stop it during the whole fight and after all that, like, you had ample chance to be like, no, I think you're in real danger here and we need to stop this fight. You look like you're getting choked to death.
I thought he was tapping with his feet.
Yeah.
The way Tim Elliott did against Mighty Mouse. Was that Mighty Mouse?
No, I think was that never mind. Whatever.
Not important, but I thought he was tapping with his feet. And I also thought he went unconscious for a minute, but the ref came in and checked his arm and he was good. He thumbs up the referee.
Yeah.
And that's the worst fucking way to lose.
It is. Because Dvalishvili, he was owning that fight for like,
dude, he was on fire.
Yeah, for 14 minutes of it. He was owning that fight, and he went for that big late takedown again, and Simon just wrapped up his neck. And fucking all credit to Simon, after fighting for 14 minutes at a blistering pace and looking exhausted for the like last 7 of those minutes, he was able to power on a guillotine for a full minute, just cranking it as hard as possible.
Well, what helped him out, though, is a one-arm guillotine. So it's not like he was burning out both of them. But yeah,
even still,
he was going for it. He was definitely going for it. And it's crazy because there was that Invicta fight where something similar happened. They had she had her opponent in the rear naked choke. She went to sleep, but she woke up. The fight came to an end, and she ended up losing a decision because it was after the bell, which I don't. You can't be saved by the bell, so not sure why that happened. But this is run it back, man. Run that shit back.
It was an awesome fight, so I'd be really happy to see it again.
Yeah, I mean, Merab, he went into the options menu and turned off endurance, turned off cardio. Like none of that was applicable. He seriously fought the entire fight like it was a 1-round fight.
Yeah.
And like sustained it for the most part, which I thought was inhuman. Like you can't do that.
To not to go back on my own word, because I still do feel like Frankie Saenz won their fight the first time, did a little more damage. But it is now, you could easily say that Merab has 2 incredibly debatable losses to start his UFC career. For a guy who's gone 0-2, there are incredibly strong cases for him winning both fights.
Especially this one. Because he literally, for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
He won the fight for 15 minutes straight. Well, 14 minutes. I'll give that last minute to Simone. But man, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
You think it'll get overturned?
No, there's no way. I mean, the refs have a ton of discretion to make calls like that. It's like it may be a bullshit decision by the referee, but unless you're in Brazil where it's like a national athletic commission and they've got like a big government budget behind them and more like authority and less care about how referees feel working under them. In the States, commissions, they know that like they don't have any budget. They don't want to deal with getting rid of referees or making referees mad. They just want to like green light these dudes and be like, yeah, no, it's your choice in the cage. Your authority stands.
Yeah. It's sad though. Like Devashvili or however you say it, he's missing out on a win bonus now.
Yep. For that, Tiar Barboza knocked out Luan Chagas, and man, like, you can say what you want about Thiago Santos relying on athleticism, but Tiar's been doing it for years, and it keeps working out for him.
He's also better at it.
He is.
He doesn't panic the same way that Santos does.
No, and he doesn't have any panic in him. He stands firm in the pocket when he's being pressured, and
he's in a division where the power isn't as severe.
Yeah.
However, his power is phenomenal.
Yes.
This dude is severely heavy-handed for a 170-pounder. Like, anytime he was landing a punch, you could tell Chagas was like, "Oh shit, like this isn't good." And the way he finished, he kicks him in the body, right?
Yeah.
Chagas goes down from a body shot, and
the Katsuri Kikuno front kick, the crescent like front kick.
Yeah, it was, man, what a beautiful finishing sequence. So, like, what's worse than getting dropped by a body shot? Answer: getting knocked out as you're being dropped by a body shot. Like, that's, oh, man.
Yeah.
That's tough. And Chagas looked so good there in the first round. He hit that crazy reversal, took the back, worked for the choke for a lot of the round. And then it's like, oh, shit. And he only got that. He only was on the ground in the first place in the first round because of the punching of Barboza.
Yep.
He like kind of just fell over.
Yep.
And it's like, man, he realized he couldn't get the takedown and he couldn't strike with him. And it's like, what do? You're like resorting to pulling guard, and no one wants to pull guard. Not at welterweight.
No, Chagas has a problem against reasonably good strikers. I mean, Barboza's technique isn't always on point, but he's incredibly fast and powerful with his hands and great timing. But Chagas has this thing where, like, he's creative, flowy striker walking forward. He's kind of got, like, a bit of a Brazilian Carlos Condit thing going. But it's also just, like, he's stepping forward with his chin up and online and out. And if you don't have Carlos Condit's chin, you can't really afford to try and pressure people that same way. And Barboza was just tuning him up for it.
Barboza, he reminds me of Blagoy Ivanov in the way he strikes. Like the same sort of just, I'm going to throw all of my weight behind these punches, and it's just going to work more often than not.
Some people have the timing for that, you know.
You just pack such a wallop. It's crazy, and that's 3 straight wins, 3 straight finishes. So
yeah, he'll fight once. He'll fight again in 2 years and beat somebody else, and we'll all be like, "Oh man, he's so great!" And they'll be like, "Oh, I broke my hands 15 times, and I'm gonna go like get real fat again and have to fight at 195 pounds or something."
He's headed for catch weight for sure.
Yeah. Next, before that, Corey Anderson beat Patrick Cummins, and that was just a one-sided shit kicking. There's not really two ways about it. Cummins landed a few wild bombs in each round. Anderson's still a really wooden striker coming forward.
This fight means nothing. It really just, it doesn't mean a damn thing.
Except that now Anderson's the top 10 light heavyweight. I know.
He was already number 10, so whatever.
Was it Cummins? It was 11? Okay.
Cummins was 11.
Corey Anderson wins, totally dominated Cummins everywhere. Just a completely one-sided, easy ass kicking.
In fact, it was such an ass kicking that Anderson pummeled Cummins until he turned into Timothy Johnson. He looked like Timothy Johnson at the end of that fight. No disrespect to Timothy Johnson, but
a little. I mean, that was a little.
Well, I just mean he was like all swollen up. To like,
I got
face was like heavyweight size.
It was like inflation. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
The mustache.
Yeah. For that, Tony Martin beat Kaita Nakamura, and I really feel like there was a clear path to Nakamura potentially winning this fight, given that every time he went for a takedown, Martin's jumped on a crazy submission and started a scramble. Martin's came out ahead in some of those scrambles, certainly late with the power Kimura and all that, but Martin's has never had that great a gas tank. Nakamura has been a really good, solid position grappler over his career. Maybe start that sooner than 450 of each round, and you tire Martin's out a little, but he was content mostly to just lose a kickboxing bout to Tony Martin, and that's what he did.
Martin looked fucking great out there.
Yeah.
170 was a smart move. He's faster with the striking, which is great for him. And like he was just out there pumping his jab, pawing with it, floating like his cross.
A ton of counter right hands.
Oh, man, it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And a lot of feints, some feeling out going on, and then you have Nakamura, like you said, last 10 seconds going for these takedowns, and Martin was like, okay, I'll just I'll attack a submission, and then now you're just defending. So it's like, okay, you can have the point for the takedown, but you're just going to defend for the last 10 seconds. So there's nothing but positive takeaways from Martin here.
My only worry is still, that he's always been easy to take down, and part of it's that he defaults to going for submissions when you attack him with takedowns, and that guys who can chuck the submission are going to be able to really make him pay for that, as they have at different points in his career. But if you don't really know that, if you're not preparing that game, then he's certainly not going to, he's made enough strides in his striking that it's going to be a hard fight if you don't go after him that way. And he's got good power subs that he's always been one of the, had a weird strongman submission game that he can really crank on. So there's some danger there if you put yourself into trouble.
I think the most dangerous part is the fact he has a gas tank now.
He does when Nakamura fights him at that pace, certainly. But yeah, it's been looking better lately.
Yeah, but I mean, even his output was pretty high. I felt like he had an energetic performance.
I think he's a lot more confident now. He's not panicking on the feet in the way he used to. That used to make him gas out so hard. Because it used to be that he would look fine, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, look, he's coasting, looking good," and then he'd get hit a couple times, and then suddenly he'd be like, he's like exhausted, like 10 seconds later.
Yeah.
So
I need to see him fight Tim Means now. That's what I want to see.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say Tim Means might need to win a fight first, but the UFC apparently paid him after his last fight like he won it, so maybe they'll just book something like that.
Tim's always been a company guy, though.
Yes.
Cool.
All right, back to the top.
I thought it was cool. Cool-ass card. A lot of takeaways. You got David Branch. You got motherfucking Frankie Edgar. once again sending Cub back down the ladder 4 years later.
I think it's probably a lot of people will be happy to not have seen Frankie Edgar get absolutely shellacked here coming back so quick after that KO. So
oh yeah, everyone would be calling for his retirement and saying, "Oh, he's done," and this and that. But I mean, Kevin Lee, I think is probably the biggest story of the night. The fact that he's now, we can talk about him legitimately in terms of getting a title shot, or at least being one fight away from getting a title shot. And he looked fucking great. Outside of the third round, he looked fucking great. Really dominant.
Thinking about it too, but whoever doesn't get the next shot, I mean, or maybe both of them may not, but if it's between like Poirier and Alvarez as guys in line to get the next shot, if Khabib or if Tony and Conor are both sidelined, then whoever doesn't get it, Kevin Lee can fight them. Like, he hasn't fought either of those dudes, so
yeah,
he's there.
What's cool about Kevin Lee is there's a lot of fights for him because he's fought Ferguson and now he's fought Barboza.
Yep.
So that leaves so many. Can I say Nate Diaz? Can I bring Nate Diaz up?
No, you can't. On that note, we're ending the show. You can find me on Twitter at TheZaneTime. You can find Eddie on Twitter at TheEddieMercado. You can find both of us over at BloodyElbow.com. Give us a like. That's a thumbs up down there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, MMANation.com, DOTCOM, all spelled out. As we find all the latest Bloody Elbow shows, videos, analysis, all that stuff we do week in, week out. We will not be back for a UFC event next week because there isn't one. UFC 224, yes, comes in 2 weeks. Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington. In the meantime, we will have all the normal shows we do week in, week out, regardless of a UFC event or not. We'll have MMA Depressed Us. We'll have Six Round Retro. 6 Round Retro.
Yes, sir.
If I Did It, Heavy Hands, all that stuff that you tune into. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.